Hi guys, welcome to Sheria. Sheria is a platform whereby we educate the common mwananchi on the law with the aims to equip and empower you. My name is Maina, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and today I have with me
Trevor Lichuma. I am equally a practicing advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Thanks for having me.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Yes, so we are on a series of marriage. And last time we covered a bit on the dissolution of marriage, and I promised we'll come back and deal with divorce. So today we're going to touch on divorce and the impact or effects of divorce on the parties to a marriage. So we have several grounds for divorce in the different kinds of marriages we have. Remember I said we have the Hindu, the Islam, the customary, the Christian, and the civic marriage. So in the 5 of them, there are different grounds whereby we can now approach the courts or whatever authorities to divorce.
I think we can start by explaining to the viewers, maybe on Christian marriage, some of the grounds. One of them is cruelty. Cruelty which can be either physical or mental, and towards the partner or the child as well. That's one ground. We equally have adultery, right? I think most people are conversant with adultery, which they call it loosely cheating. Should be cheating. Yes, that is one. Another ground.
We also have depravity. In fact, it's written as wickedness. So I don't know what you'd term wickedness as.
I think it is action that is very, very shocking and morally shocking, that it surprises the conscience of the court because of the magnitude of the wickedness, as you have put it.
Exactly. I would believe something like rape, sodomy, bestiality, such things. I think we can term them as wickedness, right?
Exactly. And I think in addition to what you've said, there are instances where you find maybe one of the partner is habitually involved in criminal activities. That's as well one of the considerations the courts can make to exceptional depravity to be able to get the marriage divorced. Exactly,
because it puts you and the children as well at risk. And the point of the courts is to protect the family unit.
I think another ground would be an irretrievable breakdown of the marriage.
Exactly. And under this, we have so many grounds, but we can just to mention a few. If a spouse has been imprisoned for a period that is more than 7 years, that is one. If a spouse has neglected the marriage for a period of 2 years before you petition, that is 2. And neglect, of course, can vary based on the type of marriage, based on the expectations in the marriage. However, it has to make sense. It has to be reasonable and justifiable. Also, if there has been separation for a period of 3 years prior to you approaching the court for this divorce, that's also a ground. We also have insanity that is not curable. So, see, kwenda na kusema, this man is crazy, I want a divorce. This is insane.
You need a proof.
Yes, you do.
And the proof as well, funny enough, has to be certified by 2 medical doctors.
Yes, not 1, 2. Jumojo neza honga. So you have to have 2 of them. And those are the general grounds. However, there are also other grounds when it comes to now the different types of marriages. For instance, the Islamic law, of course, Islamic marriage is governed under the Islamic law. And under the Islamic law, they have their own set of grounds for divorce.
So to explain some of the grounds which are peculiar in Islamic laws, we have one, you might find where one partner fails to provide maintenance to one of the other partner, is one key ground in Islamic. Another ground would be when one of the partner is unable to consummate the marriage. Maybe for the benefit of the audience, consummate is an instance of having a sexual relationship between the partners.
Exactly.
So if one of the partners is unable to consummate the marriage, is one key ground in Islamic law.
Exactly, the importance of the husband. And then there's a very interesting aspect. They can also agree to divorce.
Yes.
I think that's the only place where we can come across an agreement to divorce.
A peculiar one in the Kenyan laws.
Yes,
I agree.
To agree to divorce. We also have now the the Hindu, and there's one thing that the Hindu and the Islamic share, and that's other than the general grounds we have given, when you convert from those particular religions. So maybe you're Hindu and you convert to Christian, the spouse who is still a practicing Hindu can approach the courts, and that's a ground for divorce.
Apostasy. Apostasy. Yeah. I think that's a good one. That's a good ground. I think it's common in between Hindu and
the
Islamic marriage.
Yes.
I think one thing we've not mentioned as well is customary marriage. The grounds which we have mentioned remain the same. However, there's a slight variation in customary because you see in Kenya we have 42 tribes and most tribes have their own customs and traditions.
Yeah.
So if an act offends the customary traditions of a particular tribe, so to speak, or tradition, it's also a ground as long as it's within the confines of the Constitution of Kenya.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
And it can vary, of course, depending on the custom and depending on the ethnic group and what they hold. However, I think it's also important to note that it's not an easy way out, right?
Yes.
You still have to probably go before the elders. There's also a process in all this. And then we also have the civic marriage, whereby you have to at least be separated for 3 years before you are able to head on to the court and seek a decree of divorce. And maybe we can mention the fact that this thing has been petitioned to be a bit
discriminatory
and unconstitutional.
Yes.
Do you think so? Do you think it is so?
I think we'll agree with the court. It's a recent case. Should be maybe 2022, which the case held. It's a bit discriminatory as compared to other marriages. I think I would tend to agree with the court.
Really?
Yes, in terms of why it's different from other marriages. But I think it's important to mention for the audience that the court directed the parliament to be able to enact legislation to amend that particular provision, so that to allow parties in a civil marriage to come before court before the lapse of the 3 years. I think as of today, Parliament is yet to enact an amendment, so to speak. But I think it's important as well to mention that parties can approach court before the 3 years. You have to prove to court that the situation is so dire.
It's dire.
It
cannot wait.
Stay here.
Yes. So don't stay in a situation that probably is, dangerous for you and your children simply because you're waiting for the 3 years to lapse. I think the court can be able to look into the situation. At the end of the day, there are human rights that cannot be tampered with. Generally, what we can say, a general view is there are grounds for divorce. However, I think based on what we have covered, we can see that the Constitution and the courts do not take the act of marriage lightly. There are processes and procedures that we have to follow in order for us to say that now this marriage is no longer there because it has great impacts and great effects. So maybe we can jump into the impact or the effects of dissolving the marriage.
I think that's a very, very key concept, because someone would ask, okay, now I have divorced my husband, my wife. What happens next?
Yeah.
I think now there are various legal...
I don't see you again.
Say that again?
I don't see you again.
Oh, I don't see you again, exactly. So, but really, I think it depends if there are children, if there are properties in this marriage, they would have consequences.
Yes.
I think maybe one key implication is that the dissolution of the marital bond between the parties.
Exactly.
So you're no longer Mr. and Mrs. X and Y. That ends the minute the divorce is finalized.
Yes.
As well, I think on the issue of custody and care and control of the children.
Yes, I think it's important to note that the court really looks to, and the laws really look to protect the kids. So say you're married and you have children, at that point, the moment whereby you get divorced, we have what is called custody. That means who is looking after these kids? in whose care are they? Remember, when someone is under the age of 18, the law considers you as a child. So there's what we call physical custody and legal custody. So it can be shared among the parents, but also it depends on the situation, and the court will always uphold the best interest of the child. So mumeachana, it's not that sasa I won't take care of you and your children. I believe that's what happens. Even under some customary marriages, whereby you find that if you go, enda na watoto wako, I don't want to see you, but that is not what the law goes by.
That's the end of our story.
Yes, that's not what the law goes by. And there is recourse for in case you're out there and somebody left na akakuacha and you have the kids with you and they're not supporting. That's the issue now, whereby we now go to the courts in the case of taking care of the kids. The issue of custody comes up and maintenance of those kids comes up.
For sure. It's a very important one. I think as well, one important would be property rights, because there are property rights which accrue during marriage. So what happens to this property? Maybe we own a house, we own cars. So the court ideally now would go to a matrimonial property court and would divide this particular property based on, it's not, I know most people would say 50-50, but the courts have held otherwise. Courts have held, we have to look at the contribution of these parties to the marriage.
Yes, and matrimonial property is not simply because Lichuma here owns property, we get married. Now that is our matrimonial.
Exactly.
No, that's not how it works, and we'll be able to explain that in a little bit. But definitely it has an impact on matrimonial property for sure. Yes.
I think one last one maybe we can as well remind is once you've divorced, you lose access to the automatic rights you had. Maybe we shared a medical cover. Of course, that one now has to lapse.
Imeenda.
Yeah. Maybe I'm next of kin in a circle somewhere.
Yes.
That as well.
The beneficial interests have lapsed.
Exactly.
So now there's the issue of maintenance. And you know, I think we have had about this maybe from other countries, but I don't know if the issue is very common in this country. You as a spouse, once you guys have dissolved your marriage, you have a right to maintenance. If the court sees fit, you can approach the courts and seek maintenance from your former spouse. A spouse can approach the court for an order of maintenance if the spouse that's supposed to give maintenance is not giving the maintenance. It can be done during the subsistence of the marriage or even after the separation or divorce. This can also happen whereby there was a presumption of death. In Kenya, according to the Evidence Act, you're presumed dead if for 7 years, the people who usually or reasonably are supposed to hear from you, maybe your spouse, your kids, your parents, your siblings, they have not heard from you for a period of 7 years. You're considered dead. So if that had happened, and all of a sudden you resurface, then your spouse can ask for maintenance. They can approach the court and ask for an order of maintenance. So when does this lapse? When the spouse paying the maintenance dies and it has not been secured. Yani, it wasn't provided for maybe in the will that ataendelea kulipa or itaendelea kutoka kwa mali yake kukulipa, then that obviously ends at that point. Also when you die. So when you die, the spousal maintenance cannot continue ati iende kwa watoto wako. That doesn't work like that. And it also happens whereby sasa umejiweza. Because remember, the spousal maintenance is given whereby the spouse who's being maintained hajiwezi. Understand me? And also, of course, when you remarry sasa your story imeisha. Yeah.
I think that covers it.
Yeah.
That covers it. I think it would be important as well to discuss on, now someone would ask, how do I go about divorcing my partner? Yeah, I have learned about the grounds. I know the grounds. I can see one of my grounds there. So ideally the process would be first approaching a lawyer.
Yeah.
A qualified attorney. Qualified lawyer,
yes.
so to speak.
Yes.
And your lawyer as well will be able to, on your behalf, petition the court for divorce, establishing those grounds that we have elaborated and clearly demonstrating that this marriage perhaps has irretrievably broken down. So the court would ideally consider the petition, and they would issue what we call a decree nisi. Decree nisi, which dissolves the marriage. And then decree nisi is usually made what we call decree absolute within 30 days if there is no objection. So 30 days is given for you to think about it.
Yes.
Do you really want to?
Is this something you want to do?
Exactly. Then from there, once it's declared a decree absolute, then you are legally considered to be divorced.
And maybe there's one thing we need to mention, that there's a difference between divorce and annulment.
So for annulment, I think divorce, we have clearly established what divorce is. This is whereby the court is declaring a valid marriage to have ended. But for annulment, it's what in law we call voidable. Voidable. Meaning to say, in the law's eyes, it is valid up to the point where it is declared null and void. Meaning there was no legally marriage existing. And so that speaks to the difference between the two, between annulment and divorce. Because divorce is valid, annulment is valid till the court declares it to be invalid due to reasons. And the reasons that the law establishes for a marriage to be annulled, first of all, there are those conditions that would have to be met: the impotence, bigamy, one of the parties was already married. There was no consent. The wife was pregnant when they were marrying, but the husband is not. It's not responsible. It's not responsible. So you see, that is it was not a fact that was known. So the court ideally has established 3 conditions that one must meet for a marriage to be annulled. Because
otherwise, everyone would go and say
sitaki marriage.
Simply because ameacha socks.
Exactly. So one of the key conditions is that you must bring this petition within 1 year of your marriage. So kama tulioana last year, October 16th, you must bring it within 1 year. Secondly, the person who's bringing this petition, these facts and information, they must not have known them at the time of marriage. Right? And the last one is that by the time you're bringing this petition, this marriage, you must not have consummated it. So you cannot bring the petition and we have established what consummation is to our viewers. So within that 1 year of bringing this petition, you must not have consummated the marriage. The court will look at these 3 particular conditions and be able now to find this marriage annulled in the fact that the marriage existed, but by the virtue of this finding of the court, this marriage is declared not to have existed. Exactly. So maybe it would be good as well for the viewers to know what is the effect of annulment.
How does that impact you? So there's what we call spousal privilege. This applies especially when it comes to criminal matters, evidential matters. There's that information you guys share as man and wife. So such kind of information, when it was shared during the subsistence of the marriage that you guys have now annulled, that information stays private, simply because you guys at the time were considered man and wife, right? And also there's the issue of deni, right? Any liability you guys took, and then say I took a loan, and he was my guarantor.
My lovely wife.
my lovely, So now that we have now parted ways, we have annulled the marriage, we can even say we were never married. Technically, we never were, but the loan still stands and the guarantor still remains. So that's not a way I could escape. You guys, you still need to help him or her finish up that loan.
Pay your debt.
Yes, pay your debt.
I think that aptly covers on annulment and the effect.
So viewers, I really do hope you've learned something today on divorce, the grounds, annulment, the difference between divorce and annulment. We're definitely open to answering the questions. We know this is a big topic with many scenarios. We look forward to getting your questions at the comments. So please write down your questions in the comments below. And remember to share, subscribe, like, hit that thumbs up, and also hit that notification bell so you can get notified whenever we put up a new episode. That was all for today. Yes, I hope you had a good time.
That was a good time. That was a good one.
Yes. So thank you so much. Until next time, stay blessed.